recording. Carolyn Solar from Feeding America, Inland Empire. Thank you so much for joining us on the Unity as Community podcast. And it's nice we have the video this time. Last time it was strictly audio, so it's nice to put a face to the name and having you come on and talk about some of the unique things that you guys are doing to help the community during, let's say, these interesting times. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to share some of the progress we've made through this pandemic and where we kind of expect it to go. So thank you for including me again.
So one thing that stood out to me last time, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you again, besides all the great things that you guys have been doing, the partnerships with the storm, and we can get into some of the other partnerships that you guys have as well. But one thing that just really resonated with me, and that's during the first 6 weeks of the shutdown, you said, or you'd mentioned that you guys fed over 41,000 people, and normally within a 6-week period of time, you'll feed 10 to 15 per week, so like 90 in a 6-week period of time. So that number, that 41,000, was staggering, and we kind of wanted to get an update to see where everything is at to this point since then. And I think that was like April 29th, April 30th, something like that. How is it slowed down? How is it working now? Are you guys still able to assist as many people? What type of donations? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so at the start of COVID, we were kind of just adjusting to try and meet the need. So one of the things we started doing was these drive-through food distribution. So cars would pull up, they'd open their trunk, we'd fill it with whatever we had. So if it was dry goods, if it was produce, that's what we would give them. And we were serving thousands of cars at a time. Now at this point, we aren't doing the drive-through food distributions. It was kind of our emergency relief efforts. It was 13 consecutive weeks of doing these drive-through distributions at different sites across the Inland Empire. And in total now, we've served 98,000 individuals just from the drive-through food distributions. Since we aren't doing those anymore, it became increasingly challenging because, as you can imagine, businesses started to reopen. When we talked to the Storm on the last podcast, they had mentioned their staff was only going to be working until a certain point in June, then they wouldn't be able to participate. And they were supplying a lot of the volunteers. So that became challenging to do it on their site. The gallery at Tyler, they opened up again. So it was just a lot of challenges to keep doing that program. There were also a lot of additional resources available in the community, which is amazing. So people were able to get on their feet a little bit more than having to rely on a food bank for assistance. So very, very grateful for all of those programs that helped people out. We sort of had to change our model again just to help those people that were still in continuous need of help. So they could either call us or go on our website and we direct them to resources in their neighborhood. Since we work for 250 partner charities, we were doing a lot of directing those community people in need with our partner charities.
Fantastic. And I'm going to talk more about the partner charities in just a few minutes, but just doing some quick math, because I know last time you said it's about 10 to 15 people a week that you normally serve. And during that first 6 weeks, it was 41,000, but normally it'd be like 90. So just doing the math in the 13 weeks here, say it's 15 people that you would normally serve in a week, that comes out to 195 individuals that you'd be helping to feed. And then the numbers, 98,000 that you guys helped through the drive-through formatting or being able to assist the folks that way. 98,000 compared to 195 that you would normally help. You guys are doing amazing work, and it's not just that, because you just mentioned this before we started, before I pushed the record button, but 36,000 that you've assisted with various schools around the IE. And then there's another 3,000, we're going to talk more about this too, with the home delivery. So you guys are doing so well, and your staff, let's talk about the greatness of your staff, and then some of the partners that you guys are working with to be able to make this stuff happen.
Yeah, so our staff here is less than 30 people. So less than 30 people to distribute to 98,000 individuals at drive-thrus, 3,000 homebound deliveries, and 36,000 summer meal program drops. So it's a lot of work for our little team, but we're very grateful because the community has stepped up significantly. The volunteers have helped us a lot with delivering those homebound meals. And we also have those partner charities that are actively working to pick up food from our warehouse and deliver it to the individuals in their neighborhoods. So partner charities, we have over 250. And by partner charities, I mean those soup kitchens, those shelters, those church pantries. Those are our partners that are helping to distribute within their immediate community, and they're doing amazing work. So like I mentioned, there's over 250 that are active and still working right now. So they're getting and helping those individuals to make sure that their community has
so the soup kitchens and the soup kitchens or pantry, whatever you want to call them, forgive me for my ignorance on that. Were they allowed to gather and prepare food, or were they locked down, or were they kind of low radar type of thing, trying to make these things happen? Like what was going on there? Do you know?
Partner charities had to kind of shift their models too to make sure that they could still help in the community. While some of our partner sites did close for this pandemic because they weren't really able to stay open, either they were ran by seniors or ran by volunteers and people were too afraid to get out. But a lot of the other partners that did remain open were picking up at greater needs to where our numbers were still very consistent with the work that they were doing. But I think a lot of them did shift to create more opportunities for people to create their own meals at home, whether it be giving them more peanut butter or more tuna or more things that don't require a lot to do.
How many people, so how many volunteers do you guys have within Feeding America I.E? Because I think this is really important for people to understand that anybody can go and help.
Yeah, so on a normal year, we have about over 700 a year, but this year is kind of a weird year, so we haven't really calculated those numbers just yet. But on a regular basis, helping in our warehouse, we have no more than 10 volunteers a day. So it's a very small, socially distanced, but it's not a great quantity of what we wish we could be able to do right now, but it's definitely some help. We also have over 1,000 that are assisting with those homebound deliveries. So we have a lot that are willing to deliver to seniors and disabled people in need. And we also have virtual volunteers. We have volunteers helping us with writing blogs and doing marketing projects and doing research for us. So we have a lot of people that, even if they're not able to leave their homes, they're able to help in some capacity.
They're able to contribute. Now, you brought up the home delivery program. Let's talk about that. What exactly is it, and how does it benefit people?
Yeah, so on our website, we have, I think it's feedingamerica.org/gethelp. If you go there, there's a link and you can fill out kind of like a questionnaire about what your scenario is. If you're maybe you're disabled or you're senior or you have somebody in your household that is, or maybe you just don't have access to a vehicle. You let us know what your situation is. If you have any dietary restrictions, those are also good to mention. So that way we can make sure that we're delivering food that's going to meet those needs, meet those specific health requirements, and that you're able to get the food without leaving your home or without feeling unsafe.
So is this something they can fill out a form, an application online? How does it work? How do people have access to this?
Yeah, it's on our website under the Get Help tab. You can just click on that and find the form. So feedingamerica.org/gethelp. And once you fill it out, someone from our staff will contact you within the next day or so, and a volunteer will deliver it to you as soon as they're able to. So usually that's also pretty immediate. The volunteers pick up from our warehouse. They take all of that produce. If we have any meats or extra items like that, they'll take that with them to deliver it to the person in need. It's meant to be an emergency supply of food. So it's not meant to be an ongoing service just yet. But for now, it's an emergency basis, and it's enough to last several days until you're able to figure out where to get your next meal from.
So that ongoing service you mentioned, is that something you guys would like to have implemented? What have there been talks around that to making it more of a permanent thing for some of the folks out there?
Well, we launched this homebound program. We actually call it HERO, so Homebound Emergency Response Outreach. So the HERO program was launched in response to COVID, and it's done such great in this community that we've decided to make it an ongoing program. So we're going to have a full-time staff monitoring that program, and with that, we are planning to make it a more ongoing, resource for people in need of food rather than just emergency assistance. Until we're able to get to that point. For now, it's still going to be on an emergency basis.
You know, we talked a little bit about this on the last time you were on the show. Is this the home delivery? Is this a model, in your opinion, that you think could be scalable? Like maybe this is something the government takes on. Maybe each state employs people to go out and provide this service to folks that really need the assistance, especially those during, you know, the COVID pandemic that don't really need to be out. They need to be home. They need to be safe. Is this something, in your opinion, that we could scale if we wanted to? And on top of that, is this something government could run effectively and or efficiently, or is this something that really needs to stay within the private sector?
I think it is really scalable right now. I think a lot of food banks have implemented their own sort of homebound delivery program. So our sister food bank in Orange County, Second Harvest OC, they've also been doing these homebound deliveries too. I'm not sure about San Diego or LA, but I know for sure Orange County has been doing a great quantity as well. It would be great if there was additional government assistance with it. I think that would benefit everyone here. It would make it a little bit easier for us. And I think there's so many people that just don't know that there's resources available. I think if the government were to help with that, that would make a world of difference.
So I'm a huge proponent of trying to scale that program. And if the government is going to offer various programs to help people, in my opinion, this is one of them. I'm on the side of open up, get the kids back to school, get the healthy people back working, everyone else that has the underlying health conditions that's susceptible to COVID. Not to say that the rest of us aren't. There's exceptions to every rule, right? But I'm not a proponent of quarantining healthy people. I want to quarantine the people at risk, and let's do our best to help them as much as we can to keep them safe. And it just seems like, Carolyn, this program could be a solution for that, could be the answer, potentially.
It really could be. And it's going to be interesting to see how this program sort of unfolds. I think it's done great work in such a short time. But it's going to be interesting to see how we're able to continue to grow it once our volunteer base isn't so full. I think we've had so many volunteers helping with it because a lot of people haven't had work. But as people are returning back to work, I think we're going to have less volunteers that are willing to do that kind of work beyond their work schedule.
Well, yeah, I mean, you think about it, it's a perfect opportunity for the government to hire folks to do things like this and provide a tremendous service. And you know, it's my understanding they're hiring folks to do some other things that are a little bit shady, in my opinion, but we're not going to get into that. But this is something I think they could take over and really make an impact with people. One, you're helping those in need, and then two, employment opportunities for those who need it. And a lot of people need it right now. And just looking at the numbers, 98,000 people in 13 weeks, when normally you guys would be feeding, you know, under 200 people, just, you know, based on what the stats normally show. I think that would be outstanding if we could figure that out.
I would agree with that.
Hey, let's talk about a couple other things. So the homebound delivery program, which is outstanding. Let's talk about the P-EBT. What is that, and how does that function?
Yeah, so in wake of the pandemic, P-EBT was launched, which is Pandemic EBT. And it was a resource for children that are on the free and reduced lunch program to still get that additional funds to be able to get food. So children that are already on this program got $365 sent to their homes to be able to help them with food. So families with multiple kids got quite a few, $100 for feeding their kids during this time.
So how do you qualify? Sorry to cut you off. How do you qualify for this?
I have some information here because I don't want to share wrong information with you.
And by the way, everyone, we're gonna put the links when we put the podcast up here, so you guys will be able to see the places where to go, the URLs. So if you need access to that, you need to share it with anyone. We're going to provide that to you. If you have any other questions, go directly to feedingamericaie.org. That's it, right, Carolyn? I don't even have that written down. I think I remembered that perfectly. Matt, wonderful. So is this program, is it still available? How is it funded? Like what's going on?
So it's kind of like EBT, but it's just the pandemic EBT. So it's additional funds on top of that. So some kids automatically got it sent to their homes, and that was children who were already a part of CalFresh, Medi-Cal, or foster care benefits. They got it automatically. And kids that were getting free and reduced lunch had to apply for it. I believe the deadline just passed. It got extended until June. So it just finished up. So if families that got it should have already started receiving benefits. But yeah, it was supposed to help them through the summer. So I think that's a big reason why we didn't have the need to be doing so many food distributions as far as drive-through style, because families were getting that additional funds to be able to get it themselves.
You know, that's fantastic to hear. At the end of the day, people need to eat. People need to have access to food. They need to eat in order to live. So it just seems like everything you guys are doing is making a huge impact. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that, because you work with a lot of great partners, and you mentioned some of the soup kitchens, the churches out there. Who are some of the other organizations that you guys are partnering with to help facilitate some of these programs and issuing the food to the people that need it the most?
Yeah, so another program that we have a lot of programs we're working with right now, but one of the ones we sort of touched on a little bit was the summer meal program. We've been working with Riverside Unified School District, San Bernardino, Chaffee, and Rialto districts. And what we've been doing is we take a truckload of mixed produce and we drop it off at the school district sites, and they disperse it amongst all of the different schools that are doing summer meal programs right now. So that's a big way that we've been able to distribute food to additional families in need of resources that may not be in Riverside backyard right here. So that's how we're getting food out to San Bernardino families, Rialto families, and all of the people that are benefiting from those school meal sites right now.
So to your knowledge, are your sister organizations, your counterparts in Orange County, LA, San Diego, doing something similar with what you guys are doing with the various programs, or does it all depend on that particular entity?
It all kind of depends on what's happening in your area. I think LA covers such a big region, so I couldn't even tell you what kind of programs they're running, but it's probably a lot larger than what we're doing. I think San Diego is still doing drive-through distributions about once a week, or not once a week, once a month or every few weeks. Orange County, they've been doing, I think, a similar model to what we've been doing. So we're all kind of varied depending on how big our team is, if we still have volunteers, how bad the COVID cases are in our area. So it all kind of varies.
So let's talk about the structure of Feeding America, because you guys are obviously under the umbrella of Feeding America. You guys are Feeding America I.E. Is there do you receive funds from the national organization? Is it all locally based? How is the model set up for you guys to do what you do?
So that's a little bit of a complicated question. So Feeding America National, the big thing that they do for us on the local level is they establish relationships with these big distributors and supermarkets. So they help us get those. So for instance, Walmart has a great partnership with our national organizations. They do a big campaign for us every year in store. That's one of those perks of being a national partner, is that we get those benefits. But if a community member decides they want to give to Feeding America and that it's automatically going to be given to their local food bank, that's not always the case. A lot of the times it actually stays with the national organization, and then they distribute it in a grant way. Like, so they'll issue a grant and we have to apply and then get a portion of it. It's not always a cut and dry, like this was made in your area, it's going to stay in your area, unless you donate to us specifically. So if you go to our website, feedingamericaie.org, and donate there, it's going to stay in the Inland Empire. But if you donate to national, it's not always going to make its way back here to the local level. But they do help us as far as getting grants and certain donations. If a donor specifies they want it to stay locally, then it goes to us.
And I was just gonna ask about that, being able to get grants. So they're helping you guys get grants. I'm sure you're trying to do that on your own as well from the state and local level. But so you guys just all communicate, let each other know what you're doing. Hey, we're trying to work over here locally, and then they're trying to get grants federally. Is that kind of how it works, or is it all based locally per state, county type of thing?
Right. So Feeding America at the national level could reach out to us and say, there's a donor in your area. They want to offer you this money through a grant. You need to apply for it. Or they might say, hey, everyone, this is a grant opportunity. It's only for California food banks that are part of Feeding America. So there's things like that where they offer it to us in that sense. But it kind of is all dependent on the donor and the donor's preferences for how they want their money used. But we do have a full-time grant writer here that seeks opportunities outside of those to ensure that we're able to run our programs efficiently.
And so those are just going out like every day or every other day type of thing.
As their schedule, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I always like learning about this because it's not, that's not something that I've been a part of. So I'm always curious to know, unless we're like donating, but being a part of the actual organization and the inner workings of it, I'm always curious to see how that really works. And I think you did an excellent job explaining that and me asking, my questions. So thank you. I want to talk about this other program too. So USDA Farmers to Families, what is that?
So one of the many programs that happened because USDA at the start of COVID, they launched this Farmers to Families program. And a lot of the reason that they did that was because a lot of farmers were hurting because of restaurants being closed and hotels being closed. And they wanted to ensure that those farmers were still able to keep their jobs. In addition, even though those restaurants are closed, those hotels are closed, food banks aren't, and we need food more than ever before. So the USDA gave them funds to continue to help us at the local level, help us food banks. So it was several $1 billion that was given to farmers and businesses that might be hurting so that they could prepare these family-sized boxes for us. So we started getting regular truckloads of these boxes that were filled with produce. And this was beautiful produce. It was apples and pears and bananas and oranges, and they were heavy, like they're beautiful. But that was a program that came out of it that was helping the farmers and helping the food banks launch through the USDA. So hopefully I made sense in saying that.
Yeah.
That was part of CFAP is what they call it. So Coronavirus Food Assistance Program. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty remarkable to hear that's been going on, and that's another avenue for you guys to assist everyone. Now going forward, what's the biggest hurdle for you guys? What's next? I know the homebound deliveries, you guys are forming an entire department to help facilitate that. What else is on the agenda for Feeding America I.E, and then how can we help?
Yeah, so I just mentioned the Farmers to Families boxes, which have been a blessing for us. They've been amazing because it's helped us a lot when we were doing our food distributions. It helps for our homebound deliveries because a lot of those seniors and homebound people just want healthy, good food, and it's quality food that they're getting. And at the elementary schools that we're still serving, they're getting those boxes too. So it's a great variety of items. But since it's only an emergency relief effort, the program's not going to be extended for very much longer. It was supposed to be temporary assistance for us all. So once that program does end, we're going to kind of be back to square one, where we were preparing all of these emergency food boxes. All of our staff was going down there to prepare these, kind of setting aside all of our office duties to meet that need. So once that program ends, we're expecting that we're going to have to be doing that again just to meet the need. Hopefully the need won't be as great as it was at the peak of the pandemic. Hopefully things will start to settle a little bit more, so we'll have our foot on everything. But if the pandemic does continue, it's going to be a little bit challenging as far as getting this quality food out to the community, running these volunteer-ran programs. So it's going to be a challenge, but I think one of the biggest ways people can get involved and help us still make a difference is by volunteering to assist in our warehouse with the preparation of these boxes, or sorting food so that our partner charities can get those fresh items that they need, helping with homebound deliveries, and making donations. Donations make the biggest impact here. $1 helps to provide 8 meals, so we can stretch it really, really far. So I think staying involved now before we're at that point where we're struggling a little bit would really make a difference.
Where are the warehouses located at?
So we have one warehouse located here in Riverside. We're located off of Jefferson Street. So we're kind of, if you're driving down the 91 and you see all those car dealerships, we're not too far from CDU.
Oh, so it's right there. Okay. Yeah. So everyone out there that heck, I'm gonna bring my girls in there to help.
We have requirements. So in our
you have
warehouse,
age requirements?
12 and older in our warehouse. But if you wanted to do home deliveries, they could always accompany you on that.
Home deliveries, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I got one who's 12. The other one's a little bit younger. So interesting. Okay, we're gonna set up a time to help, and I think that would be a lot of fun. So so we just go online to do that, or can I just give you available dates, or what do people have to do? What do I need to do?
Volunteer, you can go to our website. We keep everything on our website. So feedingamericaie.org/volunteer. And you'll see all of the requirements that we have for volunteering, as well as the opportunities that we have available. So you would just go on the calendar and see which days and times. Right now, I think the only times we have available are 12:30 to 3 p.m. And it kind of depends on how many people are registered that day. Since we only take 10, they're filling up pretty quickly. But
Okay.
If you wanted to volunteer, it's feedingamericaie.org/volunteer.
Okay. And everyone out there, it's good to know. Get the kids if they're old enough to go in the warehouse. Otherwise, the home delivery option, which that's a great program. It certainly can be replicated or at least scaled if the government wanted to take that over. And I don't mean this to be like a permanent type of solution for every single person, but the program could be a permanent solution to help people temporarily that need it the most. And I think that's probably the focus, right?
Yeah, a lot of the efforts that we do here out of our warehouse are all emergency relief efforts. So if it's just a day that they need help, if it's just a couple weeks, that's what we're here for.
So Carolyn, what else do people need to know about Feeding America? What else can they do to help? What's more beneficial? Actual dollars? Is it food? Is it both? What do you guys like to see?
Well, right now we're not able to take food donations just because a lot of the extra steps that we'd have to take to keep everything sanitary and clean. It's easier right now to just donate funds so that way we can purchase those items that we need. We can keep fuel in our trucks to keep delivering these items to those school sites and keep our lights on. That's really what we want to be able to do. We want to be here for as long as we're needed. So donations make the biggest impact. It's feedingamericaie.org/donate. You can make a gift. $1 helps provide 8 meals. The next way is just to here, volunteer time. It helps us out a lot. Our staff can only do so much, less than 30 people here, so we always need extra hands to help.
So you said $1 provides 8 meals? Really? That's good couponing right there, right?
Yeah, it's a big equation. Our national organization kind of requires us all to do an equation based on what dollars are coming in and how that equates to what food is going out. And for us, every dollar helps to provide 8 meals. So it's a pretty great number compared to a lot of other food banks. So very proud of that one.
Wow. Is there anything that we missed that you want to talk about?
Not that I can think of. I think we covered everything right now as far as all of the things that we're working on and where we hope to go with it. So I recommend if anyone's interested in learning more about us, just to visit our website, feedingamericaie.org. We keep it pretty updated so anyone can learn what we're up to. Also following us on social media. We post several times a week, so stay updated that way.
So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, we have, yeah. Twitter, it's Feeding IE. Facebook, Feeding America IE, and Instagram, Feeding America IE.
Feeding America IE. Okay. And you guys, and we follow you guys. We see a lot of the great work that you're doing, and it's fantastic. You guys are able to utilize the custom canopy. I'm hoping that's helping in some small way. So that's just our appreciation of saying thank you to everything that you guys do. So Carolyn, thanks again. It's been a lot of fun. I love following up, and we should do this every couple of months, 2-3 months type of thing. Just get an update to see where you guys are, how you're really impacting the lives that that need it the most, and additionally spreading the word to folks that can go out there and volunteer and or donate to a really good cause. So with that said, Carolyn, thank you very much for being on the Unity is Community podcast.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for your time, and the canopy too.
Absolutely. And anytime we can help, we're more than willing to look at that and see if we can really do something good within the community. And obviously you guys are kicking butt out there. We want to make sure people are aware of that, and again, understanding how they can donate their time and money to help a great cause. So Carolyn, thanks again.
Thank you so much.